back to the Cinema Cult Network. I'm Chris.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Honto.
And welcome to Wildcard Month in January. This is where we're all just kind of picking movies that we normally wouldn't be able to get the other ones to agree on. So we started off with Matt's pick. Matt, what did you pick?
Picked the 1981 animated classic, cult classic, Heavy Metal.
This is a movie I have never seen before, knew nothing about.
I think I caught on Encore back in the day.
Yes. Same.
Encore.
This is how I watched it. I was like 13, 14. My history with the movie. I was like 13, 14 years old when this movie was on the Encore channel on extended cable.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell is this?
Mhm.
And I thought it was porn because there's a lot of
I thought
nudity in this movie.
it was just a regular cartoon, so I was watching it.
Well, that's what it was weird. I was like, it looks like a regular cartoon, but there's a lot of nudity in it. And then they would only play. It was like they would only play it late at night.
Yep, exactly.
So I was like, is this some weird like
It was like
80s like pornographic film I've never heard about? And
it was always Encore. It was always this movie and Clockwork Orange were the two
Really?
movies. Yeah.
yeah. And so it was like I didn't know if it was like fully safe to watch.
No.
It wasn't.
No.
But yeah, I watched it with like a group of like aged people, and
Interesting.
we're all like and in this movie ushered us into manhood.
Oh, okay.
I have never seen it before. This is completely new to me. I knew a couple of the songs, like the Sammy Hagar
Mhm.
title track. But yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about Heavy Metal. Want to guess the Rotten Tomatoes score, Matt? What do you think this has on Rotten Tomatoes?
60.
Okay, Honto?
55.
61.
Oh, okay.
So a little bit higher. And what do you think this cost? I'm sorry. What do you think the budget was for Heavy Metal, Matt?
This is tricky. This might be is this our first animated movie we've covered with the
No.
budget?
Pagemaster,
Pagemaster.
but we never did we
Yeah.
never did budget back in the day.
But yeah, so this is our first budget covered
Yeah.
animated movie.
Yeah.
So I have no parameters how much animated movies cost.
Just make a guess.
$1 million. No,
Okay.
no, 4 million.
Yeah, Honto.
Let's say 1.5 million.
Ooh, close. 9 million.
Oh wow.
And what do you think the box office intake was, Honto?
12 million.
Matt?
20.
20. It was 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's Heavy Metal. That's the stats. Honto, take us to the cast and crew, please.
So I was wondering, should we just do cast and crew for each segment? There's different directors for each animated segment.
Oh, there is different directors?
Yeah, different animators or different directors and different casts.
Really?
So I don't know if that would be the easiest route.
I don't. If you just want to go through some of the notable ones, you don't have to go through everything.
Okay.
I know there's a lot.
Because there's seven considered 7 stories in this movie.
Yeah, I just feel like it would be easier if we talked about each segment, and that way we knew who was tied to what, rather than
Oh, you're
just
talking about going through the
spouting,
actual.
Okay.
spouting names.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and
each
start
whatever.
going through the movie. Okay.
So I do have.
Wait, are you
the-
talking about them as we go through the podcast? Okay.
Yeah, so I do have the names of each segment that we talk about.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
guess we can just start off with Soft Landing,
Yeah.
which is the space Corvette driving through space.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I geeked when this started
It's like, were you just saying, Matt, what are you getting
I
us
was.
into?
because it was super like MTV, like
Yeah,
It
it was kind of like the oddities, like the Moon Man, like
Yeah.
flying in space or whatever.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
I think it was. I mean, I could be wrong. It looked like claymation.
It's rotoscoping.
Rotoscope. Yeah,
Yeah.
What's-
so
what's
you can
rotoscoping?
tell like there's
Ro-
several shots in the movie that are either rotoscoping or animation,
Okay.
or just like anytime they show
What's rotoscoping?
it's like where the image is there. It's like a real image. Like so, say for instance, like when they show the house,
Okay.
when it explodes at the end,
yeah.
that's a real house, but they draw over it to make it look like it's animation, and then they really exploded it. So you can kind of tell because it's like
Yeah.
it's got extra frames.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you can tell it's like a real model that they blew up,
Or
as
like,
opposed to
like
They exploded it.
yeah, they exploded it, as opposed to like it actually just being an art,
Yeah.
and like it being drawn.
Yeah.
Interesting, okay.
Or like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like they use a lot of rotoscoping with the animated.
Okay.
They shot it live action, and they had I think like a robot, like specifically like the plates when it's hitting on the head. His
Yeah.
head. They rotoscoped Roger Rabbit over the thing, so
Oh,
you
I
can
didn't know that.
see it. Yeah,
Okay.
but when you go to the behind the scenes, it's like a thing that's hitting,
Oh,
like
okay.
picking up plates
okay.
and basically hitting. and
Very
breaking.
neat.
So,
Okay.
But they used a lot for animated back in the day, like just in old 80s or whatever
Yeah.
movies, like a lot
Ralph
of rotoscoping.
Baskin, right? You turn me-
Bashki.
Ralph Bashki.
I think so. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But he did like
You told me about Ralph Bashki.
he did like
Ralph Bashki.
Lord of the Rings, the animated.
Okay.
Way back in the day, he did American Pop, which is like it's actually, I would say that's actually a pretty good movie.
I never saw it, but I know it.
It's basically animated over the course of history,
Okay.
but they use a lot of like rock songs. It's like George
Okay.
Seeger. I can't remember all the compilation,
Yeah,
but it's
Fire
just,
and Ice
yeah.
is another one.
But yeah, it's interesting because they use a lot of they're all like redone versions of the song. It's the same bands and same artists that doing redone versions of the song.
Okay, I follow.
basically.
Oh, that's cool.
So
I haven't seen American Pop.
So Scanner Darkly is a
Yeah,
pretty,
yeah.
That's essentially rotoscoping.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's rotoscoping.
Copy that.
But yeah, so this astronaut that's coming down from space in a Corvette is rotoscoping from the majority of it when he's like
Yeah.
driving.
Yeah.
And you can tell because like his movements are a little bit more like they're
and-
not as stuttered
and
as animation.
And it's like 3D. Like there's a lot of 3D to it, and because it's a real person driving.
it's a real person. They're just trying to make it look like it's like matching
Animated.
the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
So there's several times in the movie where it does that. Like if you watch like the last segment with
The girl.
not Tigra. Tigra's from Fire and Ice. right?
No, it's
What's the girl's
Tarna.
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 The Tarna is when she's like getting dressed in her armor. Like that's rotoscoping. You can kind of tell
Okay.
because she moves a little bit
More human.
more human-like than the rest of the
Okay.
other animated aliens in that segment.
You'll start noticing, like now that we've kind of shown you or explained,
Yeah.
you'll start noticing
Yeah.
stuff
Gotcha.
that's rotoscoped.
Okay, very cool.
But this has to so this opening though, this has to be related to Tesla.
Yeah, in a way, I would say, yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
I guess Elon Musk is a big fan of this movie. There's a lot of
Okay.
people that are huge fans of this movie. I found a list online.
Oh, okay.
And like Will Ferrell's one of them, and Elon Musk is one of them. David Fincher is a huge fan of this movie.
Oh yeah, David Fincher's for sure a
Yeah.
huge fan of this movie.
because of like Love and Robots.
yeah.
okay.
Real quick, directed by Jimmy T. Murakami. He's an uncredited director for Humanoids of the Deep, which I think is a Roger Corman, isn't it?
Yeah,
Roger Corman horror movie. And then John Bruno, who is a visual effects designer. He worked a lot with James Cameron. He did the visual effects for Titanic, True Lies, Terminator 2, Cliffhanger. That's not James Cameron, but I just threw it in there.
That's cool.
Abyss. But yeah, this guy was he probably did the rotoscoping effects.
Oh,
whatever,
okay.
For Cliffhanger.
For Cliffhanger, yeah. For this movie or this first segment basically.
Okay.
But there's no voice acting, so there's no
Yeah.
actors in this one.
So this is the bookend story.
In a way, it's kind of like leading. Yeah, I guess this would be like the precursor to the bookends, because the bookends is really with the girl.
It's okay. This movie
Yeah.
is. One thing I will say I do not like about this movie right away. The first 15 minutes is super confusing.
Oh, I was confused too. Yeah,
because
Yeah.
I
A little
don't.
bit, yeah.
They don't tell you it's going to be segments.
Mhm.
Like I up until this moment, I thought the astronaut that lands was the dad that shows up home.
Is it not?
It is.
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
is.
Oh, I think you were talking like it wasn't. So yeah. So it's
Yeah,
part of the bookend.
I was gonna say it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's
Yeah.
leading up to the
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
the story, like I'll say that right off the bat. I really like this movie. This story makes no fucking sense.
The
it doesn't.
the one with the girl.
All of it. The whole movie.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say
The
I was
whole
gonna-
movie
I was
makes
gonna
no
say-
fucking
I was gonna
sense.
say you're only confused with this part.
No, the whole
I-
movie doesn't make sense. You're just supposed to like. What I've realized is like you're just supposed to enjoy the visuals, the music, and it's just a ride.
I
Like,
did.
you just enjoy the ride.
I did watch like a YouTube video of people like another group like us talking about this,
Yeah.
and they kind of explain that it's a through time and space type story.
Yes.
So it's like it's shifting around through time.
Yeah.
And like the orb is basically shifting around through time, telling this girl how it like influenced different
It's evil.
societies. Yeah.
It's supposed to be like the essence of evil. I feel like that part makes sense.
But it doesn't make sense. There's a lot of stories that don't even use the green orb.
no, it's there. It's there for
But-
the most
but
part.
not
There's
for-
one. There's one. No, you're right.
Yeah.
There's one
Is
that
it-
like it really
is
it's there,
Is
but
it
they
the
don't.
robot one? The,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like she wears it as a necklace for
Mhm.
like the beginning of it, and then
Yeah.
that's it. That story you could literally take out of the movie because it has no.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Let's get
Yeah,
through. Let's get through the bookend. So basically, this astronaut gives this little girl this orb he found. He disintegrates. Everybody disintegrates in the first 15 minutes of this movie. It's insane.
Yeah, I love it. I love the disintegration.
It's
really
because
creepy.
it's like very Repo Man.
Yeah,
And
it
they
is.
open the trunk of the car. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's kind of disturbing at points. But this green orb basically goes to this little girl and goes, "Hey, I'm evil. I'm going to tell you these stories about how I can control man, et cetera, et cetera." And so we're going to have like, what, 7 stories,
Yeah.
I think.
And so, and actually, this is the start of the next story.
Yes.
Like with the girl, it's called Grimaldi, directed by.
So that is considered a separate story. It's
yeah,
weird.
So that's
Weird.
That's why I was saying like it's kind of
Okay.
leading up to.
Yeah.
So this is like
Yeah.
called Grimaldi, directed by Harold Whitaker. I couldn't find any like all these people, all these directors. If I don't name something that they've been in or that they directed,
Yeah.
they're all in the animated world, like,
Okay,
community,
okay,
basically.
okay.
They're all affiliated with, the 70s cartoons and whatever.
Okay.
But we got Percy Rodriguez doing the voice of Lochnar, who's that green orb. I actually know him because I saw Captain EO at Epcot, the Michael Jackson 3D ride.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, he does the narration for that.
Okay, cool.
That segment, and then Don Franks is Grimaldi, which is the astronaut. Previous episode, My Bloody Valentine, and then he was also in Star Wars Holiday Special as Boba Fett.
Who was he? Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Who was he in?
I actually could not figure out. It's been so long since I've seen that movie, so I couldn't quite pinpoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's in.
Okay.
that
So
movie.
one thing we should say, like getting into this movie, it's a Canadian production. So there's a lot of well-known Canadian actors and crew members attached to this movie, like Ivan Reitman producing it. There's 3 people from SCTV.
Dude, actually, now that you just say that, this is basically
he's the sheriff in
Oh, shit.
My Bloody Valentine.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
so this is basically continuing our Ivan Reitman trend because Ivan Reitman, I think, wrote it and produced it.
Produced it, yeah, that's what I saw.
And then Harold Ramis is in it. And then Elmer Bernstein is the composer.
yeah.
So we're basically just continuing Ghostbusters. It sounds like Elmer Bernstein.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's
right.
a lot of Ghostbuster cues that I was like
For
noticing,
sure.
and I know previous to this, I think he had done Animal House and Stripes,
Yeah.
and I can't quite remember the music, but there were definitely some cues that
Yeah.
were like feeling like it was Ghostbusters.
So he only works
So-
with Harold Ramis.
So,
Yeah.
bit of trivia though, at the exact same time he was doing this score, he was doing the score for American Werewolf in London.
Oh yes, I saw
Yeah.
he was on that too.
So
yeah.
there's a couple of
That's
cues
cool.
that sound pretty similar to each other on both of those scores. I was actually able to get the score on vinyl like 2 weeks ago.
That's awesome.
and
Yeah.
the score's great.
That's
Yeah,
really cool.
I actually do really like the score.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically the orb was like, hey, I'm gonna tell you these stories. And like I said, it's not set up well because it's not set up horribly. I didn't know this was gonna be an anthology movie.
I knew going in only because I think it's based on a magazine.
Yeah.
And I think the magazine was basically like a kind of like your whatchamacallit, like the Tales from the Crypts
Yeah.
style, or was it ECW? Not
EC
ECW.
Comics.
ECW, not the wrestling.
Yeah.
What's it called?
EC
Like
Comics.
EC Comics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
it's a French magazine where it was just kind of like a bunch of series of writers came in and just kind of told, I don't know how many stories were in each like issue. But like a lot, they're all adapted from there. Like one of them, we've talked about Bernie Wrightson on here before.
yeah.
One of Bernie Wrightson's stories is adapted in this movie, and
And-
his art's adapted too.
Bernie Wrightson's the one that we talked about for like
Ghostbusters.
Silver Bullet as well, or
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, Silver
yeah,
Bullet,
okay,
and we
okay.
talked about him for Ghostbusters
Yeah.
as well.
Okay.
Okay.
So another Ivan Reitman connection there.
Yeah.
But it's the magazine's owned by Kevin from Ninja Turtles.
Sorbo.
Oh,
Sorbo.
Oh man, I wish I would have wrote this stuff down.
Yeah, he owns it. He bought the magazine out after he was Ninja Turtles like obviously blew up.
Okay. Kevin Eastman.
Yeah, Kevin Eastman bought it. So Kevin Eastman, I think he still owns Heavy Metal, but he kind of brought it to the States and then
Yeah, is this still an ongoing? I didn't look.
yeah,
into
it's
it.
still going.
Okay.
I believe
okay.
it's still going. But yeah, sorry. Let's get back to the story.
No, you're good. You're good. So this first story, and then Hanto, I know you had the title for it. It's Harry something.
Harry Canyon,
Okay.
directed by Pino Van Lamsterweed, storyboard artist for the Problem Child animated series.
Interesting.
For I think it was all 30 episodes.
I like this new trend of yours is to grab the most obscure piece of like work they've ever done. Like,
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Chris, he worked at Fazoli's when he was 15 years
It's
old.
probably that time you were getting those breadsticks.
They were delicious.
I don't know who, like, yeah. So we got Richard Romanus as Harry Canyon. He's the main taxi driver in this segment. He was in Mean Streets. Ralph Bashki's Wizard, so it works again.
I gotta ask you, who is he in Mean Streets?
Oh man, this podcast is gonna be 3 hours long.
that
Well,
one I have to know.
I'll look it up after I get through this.
Okay.
And then he's also in Point of No Return, which is a remake of La Femme Nikita.
Okay, yeah.
And then Susan Roman, I think is the girl that he teams up with in
Okay.
this movie.
Oh shit! I just realized who he is in Mean Streets.
Okay, cool. Tell me later because I've
Yeah.
never seen that movie. But she did the voice of Snowy, which I think is the dog in Adventures of Tintin,
Okay.
which I used to watch a lot as a kid.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've never watched Tintin.
So those are the main two that I wrote down for Harry
Okay.
Canyon.
Just to kind of sum up this story real quick, it's basically about the Orb again. It's basically like a film noir. This guy meets this girl. She needs his help. She betrays him. He kills her.
It's
And
a-
he gets off with the money.
And this is like a typical, I feel like, noir, just like
Yes.
a you know, bad situation. Falls in love with the girl. The girl is also bad, and then maybe
And-
it's,
and-
it's very reminiscent of a movie I just watched
What's
based on
that?
your recommendation.
The-
Oh,
the-
yeah.
yeah. The
Oh,
next time
I've got
yeah.
a movie that it is totally that totally ripped this off.
Oh, really?
Fifth Element.
Oh,
This is totally Fifth Element story.
cab
Yeah, I can see
driver,
it. Yeah.
driver getting into
Yeah, cab driver. A girl like falls into his hands. He's got to get her out of danger.
Oh my god!
In the future,
yeah, no,
Yeah.
no
he's got
shit.
guns
Yeah.
on his car.
Yeah,
like
no shit. There's that part where he's in his apartment building in Fifth Element, and that
Yeah.
guy has like the scenery on his head,
yeah,
and I think he ends up taking the guy's gun and storing it in his
yeah. He stores
his
it
closet.
in a cubby full of other guns.
Yeah.
because it's like all these people I keep trying to rip him off or trying to rob
yeah,
him.
it's actually pretty
It's like
accurate.
the same
yeah.
exact thing.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
There's that, and then did you guys see the Jaws 7 poster
Mm,
in the
I didn't see
background?
that, no.
Like a la back, or like that.
Yeah.
Well, Back to the Future 2 probably.
ripped it off.
Either I don't know if you
I
ripped
feel
it
like
off or had the same joke.
I feel like that was a big joke with all these like franchise movies in the
Yeah.
80s. It's like,
Well, I think the Jaws joke is more of a Spielberg joke with him being on Back to the Future.
yeah, that
but,
for sure.
yeah.
But like,
it's just
you know,
ironic. It's in heavy metal and it predates
But
it like 4 years.
yeah.
like Simpsons, they do like, you know, Rocky 17. It's like
Yeah.
elderly Rocky, and it's like, well, we kind of already got
Yeah.
that in Rocky Balboa,
Right, right.
But yeah, they always do that. I feel like that's a ongoing joke.
But yeah, this is totally Fifth Element. Like,
yeah, and this is the best story of all of them, I think.
I
really?
actually,
I think it goes downhill after this.
I actually like the last story.
I
Really?
like
Okay.
the last story
Torna.
and the bomber story.
Yeah, the bomber
Yeah.
one's really cool.
Yeah, I wish the bomber one was a little bit longer, but
exactly
But yeah, this story I think is really cool. I love the way he presses like
nonchalant.
the pedal
Yeah.
and then it disintegrates whoever's in his back seat.
Yeah,
It's very disturbing looking.
yeah,
And it's very disturbing when he kills the girl
yeah.
because you see a tear fall down her
Oh,
face
really?
as she's being disintegrated. And I was like, this is really dark.
Yeah,
But yeah, everybody disintegrates in the first 15 minutes of this movie. And I was like, what is going on?
Mhm.
yes.
And then the story ends. And I'm like, oh, okay. There's another story.
Okay.
So,
okay.
but which is the second story?
The next story is called Den, which is the nerd that gets abducted from Earth
Okay.
and turns into the muscular guy
Yeah.
on a different planet
Yeah.
that so happens to run across a girl who's also from Earth, and it's weird.
It's a weird one.
Yeah.
Voiced by John Candy, which is awesome.
Yeah, I forgot to write that down, but directed by Jack Stokes. He did pretty much all the episodes of I guess there was a Beatles animated series
Okay.
back in the 60s,
Oh,
but
really?
he did all of like the episodes for that pretty much.
Oh, okay. And this is like we get 3 sex scenes
Yeah, this
within
is
a
like,
matter of like 20 minutes in this movie where it's just like what the hell? Like
Dude, the sex scenes are awkward.
they're awkward because they're so like male fantasy driven that
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
like I watched this with my wife and I was just like, yeah. And I made her like the only way I could have picked it was on my birthday. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna watch what I want to watch tonight. No,
Did you
but
say
like
sorry?
sorry.
I looked at her. I'm sorry.
But she was the one who pointed out the Fifth Element reference. She's like, this is
Nice.
Fifth Element. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're right. But yeah, the nudity is very like
It's awkward.
teenage male centric.
It is. Yes.
Where it looks like like a bunch of teenage males got together.
I mean,
and
it's
they're
a
like,
it's a total like
draw her like this.
Yeah.
bigger. It is
Bigger.
man.
I want it to fill the screen.
God.
It is. It's very aimed at 13-year-old boys. And honestly, I could have done with that. I think the movie would have been better without all the nudity because it does not need to be in here.
It's just very gratuitous and
It
very
is.
just, you know,
it's
you
very
know-
it's very like, look at this. And you're like, yeah, cool,
look
I
what
got
we
it.
can draw.
Yeah, right.
They're as big as her head.
This
No,
girl. Oh, go ahead.
But like, I feel like it's like I get over it. I also feel like it gives the movie the sex scenes kind of give the movie that slight edge that it would have over other animated movies. That it,
Yeah.
like
I don't know. I think the disintegrating of the bodies gives it that edge.
yeah, but I think it's just so ridiculous that it's like you're gonna watch something that's kind of like no holds barred. And I feel like that's what kind of like why people like dig it so much,
Mhm.
even though the story makes really no sense whatsoever.
yeah.
It's just one of those movies where it's like, yeah, everything is no holds barred. Like heads are going to be chopped off.
Yeah.
There's going to be blood. There's going to be gore. There's going to be nudity. I don't think there's cursing in it. Is there?
I don't
anybody-
think so.
I don't even
Doesn't
think
sound
anybody ever
familiar.
says fucking it.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they just do a lot of that.
Yeah. We're not going to say it. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically about this kid who gets taken to another planet. He gets caught up in all this chaos. He ends up saving this girl. This one's fine. I think this
it's
one's
just,
not bad.
It's just him being an action hero, essentially.
Pretty
Or like
much.
adventure action hero.
This might be the only time I laughed at the movie, because at the end, the two like main villains are fighting over the orb.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, give it to me. Like, no, it's mine. Like, stop, it's mine. And it goes on for like 2
Was it-
minutes.
Was
of
it
that,
that
like,
principal from
Hey,
Jason Takes
stop,
Manhattan?
stop. What are you doing? But yeah, this episode's fine. I don't love this one, but I wasn't bored or anything by it.
I think this is my second to least.
This is
or-
kind of a whatever for me.
Yeah, it's very whatever. Because I feel like it's kind of cool when some of them have like certain genres attached to them, where it's like, all right, so the first one we talked about being noir. This one's more like fantasy.
He-Man.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
fantasy adventure.
Yeah.
Then we've got a horror one.
Is that the next one?
No, it's the trial. Captain Stars.
Yeah,
and
the next
Yeah.
one's like more of like a comedy. And then we get like
It's
a
like a-
horror.
it's
like-
and then-
yeah.
Yeah, and it's honestly it's that one that's second from last in the movie that just doesn't fit because it's like, yeah, you've already done your comedy, and this one doesn't have anything to say about the orb.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, so let's get on to our fourth.
Something like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Captain Stern, directed by Julian Harris and Paul Sabella. All Dogs Go to Heaven Part 2.
Oh,
The sequel. They both worked on it together.
Nice.
Starring Eugene Levy as Captain Lincoln F. Stern. American Pie franchise. Stay tuned. Schitt's Creek. Then we have Joe. This one is surprising to me. Joe Flaherty as Charlie the lawyer. Happy Gilmore. Freaks and Geeks. Back to the Future Part 2. He's the guy that says, "Jackass"
Oh, is it?
in
Okay.
Happy Gilmore,
Oh,
or like
yeah.
the "Are you Marty McFly?"
yeah.
Oh, he's the
Yeah.
dad on Freaks and Geeks.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we have John Vernon as the prosecutor. Previous episode, Killer Clowns from Outer Space,
Yes.
and also Dean Vernon in Animal House.
His voice is so distinct.
yes.
Yep. And then we have, that's all I mentioned for this one.
Yeah, it's basically about a super. This is an odd one as well because it's about a superhero that's like a horrible person.
He's like a Clark Kent,
Yeah.
Superman-esque looking guy.
and he's on trial. He pays this guy to lie about how nice of a guy he is.
I was actually cracking up this line because I love how it's like just made up currency. He's like, yeah, I paid this guy 25,000 Zuleks
Yeah.
to lie
Yeah.
on the stand for me.
And then for some reason, the guy that's on his side turns huge.
Yeah, he this is a total because he looks exactly like him, but this is a total me, myself, Irene. It was just like doing like the
Oh, he
The
actually was.
twitching.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
got the thing on his
Yeah.
chin.
But
And it's like the orb makes him bigger.
yeah,
Yeah, because he
Yeah.
picks it up while he's like cleaning up the space station or whatever.
Basically, the writing process on this movie was like, hey, we have to connect all these stories.
And also, I feel like there's probably a lot of cocaine involved in this.
Yeah, there's probably
this
a
production.
lot. Well, this is a huge stoner movie.
I
Yeah.
imagine so.
Yeah, I imagine I was like, oh yeah, so this is like a cult classic for being a major stoner movie. But yeah, they gotta like fit the orb in everywhere into these
Yeah.
stories, even though it doesn't make sense. And like, with
I guess
this
it
one,
does make sense with this one because it gives him power to just run around and destroy everything. But,
Yeah,
and then it's weird because like at the end, like the superhero and him meet and he like pays him and then he like kills him. And, like,
Yeah.
that's the end of the story.
Oh, this is awesome though, with like the burn up hand that's going towards.
Oh yeah,
Earth,
it's awesome.
and it's holding. The
that
orb.
is cool. I do like that.
So-
Which is it's cool because they do a somewhat good job of like telling how the thing is going from each story.
Yeah,
So like this one was cool because it drops out of the space station and it's basically crash landing to Earth, I assume,
Yeah.
into the bombing.
yeah.
there's a missing sequence in this movie that they never animated because they thought I don't know what the recall was on it, but they didn't want to put it in the movie. But it at this point it's supposed to fall to Earth. I'll kind of paint the
Okay.
missing sequence for you. it's fallen to Earth and it lands during like I think prehistoric times,
Oh.
and it's supposed to
Oh!
basically show evil
Yeah.
through the centuries on Earth. So it's almost like the reason for all the bad things that ever happened on Earth were because of this orb. So there's this whole montage of like from like caveman times leading up through all the wars, all the way up to World War II.
Okay.
And then that's when our bomber episode was supposed
Cool.
to start. And for some reason they didn't want to put it in the movie.
That's a really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, that would have like that literally says what you guys were trying to say with this orb. the
Was it
entire-
filmed?
It was like there's like a pre-animation stage
Okay.
where they draw out all the animation,
Yeah.
but it's not like fully like rendered or colored or anything like
Yeah.
that. It almost looks like storyboards.
Yeah.
And you can find it on the Blu-ray, but it's not in the movie, obviously.
Okay.
It's all black and white.
Okay.
But yeah, and then like that would have led us into our beef or our bomber like World War II era story. And it's like, why
Yes.
the hell did they not put that in
So I
there?
think
That'd
that
been cool.
yeah, and that one that you were just talking about, I think was previously called Neverwhere Land. I think is what it's called.
Yes.
And they said that the original rough animatics were set to a loop of the beginning of Pink Floyd's Time, according to Wikipedia.
Oh, that would have been cool.
The next one is called B-17. The director of this segment is Barry Nelson,
I know that name.
animator for Watership Down, and apparently did some animation for Mrs. Doubtfire. What was animated in that movie?
Maybe the cartoon he's voicing in the beginning.
At the
When he's smoking the cigar and he's like, I
Yeah.
can't. And he's like, you remember
Yeah.
that? Where the
Yeah. Well, it's at the beginning, right?
yeah.
is it at the beginning?
Yeah, it's the
when, like-
job he's working when he's like
Oh yes, okay, got it. But yeah, those are the kind of the two main. There's a lot of like just various animations.
Is there
Yeah.
anything he did besides animation? Because that Barry Nelson name sounds super familiar. I don't know. If he
Oh
was
no,
in
I think
that.
you're thinking of Barry Manilow.
Shut up.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
No, Barry Nelson. Is he a composer at all, or is he
No,
an actor?
they're
or-
all these people are just art
Damn, that name
department
sounds so familiar.
writers.
Well, and this is written by Dana Bannon, who wrote Alien
Yes.
and Dark Star.
Okay.
and I was actually saying in my notes for this B-17 segment, this would have been actually an awesome kind of just like a siege movie type.
Yeah.
Or like an
Yes.
isolated like segment is just like on this plane and then just trying to figure out like trying to contain this zombie thing as they're flying towards something.
Yeah.
I wish this is my favorite one. I wish it was longer.
Yes, this is very cool.
Yeah. It's because the one that follows after is one I just don't like it. I don't think
Yeah.
it fits. And it's like, man, I would rather have had like 10 more minutes of us on this airplane or him fighting off zombies.
Yeah, and it was like you're following around the guy. I think he's like the co-pilot. You're kind of like getting him exploring the aftermath after they get all shot up and everything.
Yeah.
And you think that he's kind of like the main character, but then he gets kind of killed in
Yeah.
the bombing seat. Like he gets pulled in by one of the zombies, then follows the co-pilot, and then it just kind of ends. He parachutes out, and then the zombies are there still.
It's weird.
like on the island. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's very abrupt. And I think that's why this is one of my least favorite ones, just because it is so abrupt. You're
the
like, oh,
idea's cool. It's just too short and
Yeah.
poorly executed.
yeah, it's still cool though. It
Yeah.
still looks really good. Yeah, I don't hate this one at all.
There's nothing and it sucks because like here we are talking about and there's like nothing to say about it.
There's really
like,
not. It
It's
looks
pretty.
cool.
It's just pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
The concept's cool.
Yeah.
It's
It's just-
it's like a World War II horror, and it's like I feel like nobody has been able to pull this off at all. World
Yeah.
War II horror
Uh-huh.
because they had that Overlord movie
Oh,
with
yeah, yeah.
Wyatt Russell. With
Did you
Kurt
see
Russell.
it?
I did. It was not good.
See, I've heard good things about it.
It was okay.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's boring and it's
Really?
kind of like a whatever,
it's
okay.
whatever movie.
But yeah,
Um,
there's nothing I feel like I don't have anything to really say. I really like this segment. I think I like it because it's horror and I like the way it looks. I
Yeah,
really, really wish it was longer. And it's like because it kind of shows the power of the orb because the orb basically brings all of them, all the dead soldiers back to life. As
it's kind of like
zombies.
I guess it's like in each segment kind of showing like what it's capable of.
Yeah.
It's like either influencing people, turning them to zombies, or just straight up melting them.
Yeah.
It just determines whatever it wants to do, I guess.
But I feel like this would be our top sequence. I feel like it would be everybody's favorite if they had that that history of the world sequence before it, because it would have fell right into it. And you'd be
Yeah.
like, oh man, that's a really cool like chunk of like story right there where it's the history. And
I
then
think would
World
even
War II.
liked it more if it had a proper ending. I
Yeah.
feel like it has a Tales from the Crypt ending, kind of like, oh, he
Kind of.
survived, psych, and then like all
But
this
it,
happens.
yeah, and it makes kind of no sense. And it's like, yeah, but the
Yeah.
orb's not on the island with him, so those guys shouldn't be alive.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
like
but-
those zombies shouldn't be there.
no. So yeah, it's good. And then the next one, I think is
So beautiful and so dangerous.
and this one is go ahead and tell us about the people in this
Directed
one.
by John Hallis. He's probably best known for, I guess there's an animated version of Animal Farm back
Okay.
in like the 50s or 60s. And then we have the only people that I had mentioned were 1 second, Alice Payton as like the main girl. She is best known for Doug doing BB.
Oh man, yeah, she is.
I guess she was
Okay.
did a lot of voice credits because she kind of has like a childlike
yeah.
voice, so she's done like a lot of
Yeah.
animated where it's either kids or whatever.
Wow.
But I had also made note that she was in For Love or Money with Michael J. Fox.
Nice.
Warren Munson as the senator in the beginning part of the segment. Previous episode, Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. He's the dad. He's the captain of that ship.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
Lazarus
Okay.
ship.
Oh,
or whatever,
really?
yeah. But then, yeah, in this segment, we have like Eugene Levy as the pilot, Harold Ramis as the co-pilot, John Candy as the robot. And yeah, it just kind of unfolds.
Yeah, so I'll basically go over this real quick and we can discuss it. But it's basically this girl gets abducted by these aliens, and then she falls in love with a robot.
Who, like, I
And-
feel like is designed similar to Mickey Mouse. The way
The
it's-
robot?
Yeah, the robot.
I have to see it
Oh,
again.
It's got
okay.
like big speaker, but like they're like ears in a way.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I feel like it's kind of like a play on Mickey Mouse.
Okay,
Yeah.
how so? Like, and do you think it's trying to say something?
I think it's just animated,
looking-
yeah.
yeah.
This ain't your Disney, your mom's Disney or
Yeah.
whatever,
But so basically the story, she falls in love with this robot after she's abducted, and then these aliens drive, they do coke, and then they land. That's the entire story.
They crash land, I think.
But that's the entire story.
Yeah.
That's and it's fine. It's a weird one because it doesn't really go anywhere.
It doesn't go anywhere. It has really nothing to do with the orb.
No, it's just like she gets abducted. Well, it's like weird because like beginning of it's her in a boardroom conference, and then this orb, she's wearing the orb as a necklace. And then I guess it influences the senator to like, I don't know if he becomes horny, if
He's a robot, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a robot.
Oh, is he? Okay.
yeah, because when they shoot him up, he gets destroyed.
Oh,
And then John Candy's all pissed. He's like, I have to rebuild it now.
gotcha. I was confused because it was like he was acting like a zombie from the previous segment, so I wasn't sure if it was carrying on over
Yeah.
to this one. It was just confusing a little bit.
Okay.
And then she gets abducted, and they're like, "Sorry, we can't return you to Earth." So it's just
Well, it's like, and it's to the point where, like, at the end of the segment, we go back to our wraparound story,
yeah,
and the orb is like has nothing to say about the segment that just took place. He's like, "Hey, my stories are almost over." Like that's what he said. That's what his words are. Like, as opposed to
he's
like,
almost like brushing over the story. It's like, and this happened.
yeah. Wasn't that a funny one? Wasn't that a change of pace?
Yeah.
Anyways, back to evil stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, this one's fine.
This is during
It's
my
just-
sexy phase.
they play like the title song "Heavy Metal" by Sammy Hagar during here, which is kind of an odd place to use this song. It would have been cooler using it at the last segment.
Yeah.
All the songs are kind of oddly placed.
I feel like
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's just-
like it though.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
enjoy it, and it's because what you're saying. It's like the MTV era kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It is watching like the movie kind of feels for me. It's like watching a musical or watching just music videos.
a long music video.
yeah,
Which
a
is
long music video.
that's basically American pop if you want to watch like old
Yeah.
rock songs basically in the
Yeah.
form of animation.
I dig it. The soundtrack's great. But yeah, a lot of the songs like when they play them, I'm like, oh, that doesn't really fit. Like when they play Journey's was it Open Arms?
Yeah,
Yeah, it has like it makes no sense to like what's going on in the
like none of the lyrics kind of match up with
yeah,
the
and the
imagery.
tone of it really doesn't match up because he's just he's just walking around his apartment showing the girl that he just picked up. He's like, have a mayonnaise sandwich. And there's some
It's
beer in the
disgusting.
fridge.
It's nasty.
but yeah, this story is fine, and it kind of ends abruptly because they do a bunch of coke and then they crash, and then for our final segment, I'll get into it. But go ahead and talk about
This is Tarna. I like literally don't really have anything. There's no
really
director tied to this that I could find,
okay.
and none of the people in this that do voices really like are anybody that I knew.
Really, not even the villain.
Who is the villain in this movie? why don't we
Yeah.
talk about it and I'll chime
That's
in.
fine. That's fine.
Yeah, you're good.
This is probably my least favorite.
I just like it because it's the cover of the
Yeah.
poster.
Why
It's
is
got-
it?
This does not need to be 30, 40 minutes long.
It's 30 minutes long. It's our
Yeah.
longest segment in the movie.
And it's confusing because you've already got this rhythm throughout the movie of 10-minute story end. This one ends a couple times, and I think it's moving on to the next story,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't. It's very confusing, I feel like. Because like this town gets invaded, and when the town got invaded and when it ends, I thought that was the end of the segment. And I was like, okay, what's this next segment? I was like, wait, this is continuing?
It's
like
still happening.
it's very confusing. And that's why
Okay.
I kind of don't like this. I don't think it fits.
it absolutely fits because the girl at the end of the movie is basically her.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying the
What are they-
structure of the story doesn't
Yeah.
fit. It
What are
does
they
not need to
called?
be. It
This-
need,
This I'm sorry. What's the species called?
Oh, which ones?
Like what is Tarna?
oh, is it?
Because that's the thing. It opens up with like them all getting massacred. Like her race of people get massacred.
Terrakians?
Terrakians all get massacred, and she's the last Terrakian. And they're
Okay.
like they talk about like we need to call her for
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
yeah, I just think it does not need to be this long. And I wish other ones would have been this long. Like if you're gonna do a long one, I think the taxi cab driver should.
That one was pretty long though. That was I feel like the
Um,
second longest.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't as a closer. I don't like this as the closer. I don't know what I would have put as the closer.
Really? I
think
think this is a perfect. I honestly, I gotta argue and say this is like the perfect closer because it's like it's that sci-fi fantasy the movie's like teetering on the whole time, and then it's
Yeah.
like they go full sci-fi fantasy.
Because it's
at the
like
ending.
prehistoric and like futuristic at the same time.
I would say what kind of ruins it a little bit is the John Candy segment because
Yeah,
it's
yep.
very close to being the same story. You know, it's,
In
sci-
what ways?
Oh,
it's
I see.
sci-fi fantasy,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
on a alien planet.
yeah, yeah.
Warriors, everyone's like barely
They
wearing clothes.
should have tied that one into this one. I feel like, and then made it a full.
Yeah,
like
it's
a-
too much of the same thing that I would have probably gotten rid of the John Candy one.
Yeah,
And kept this
that
one.
one,
in.
and then the it's like sorry John Candy, but I feel like that one where he's like the nerd
yeah.
from Earth, and then the robot one,
Yes.
both could have been excluded. Then you could have expanded upon the other entries, and it would
Yeah, and that's
way better.
honestly the only good thing about those two segments is hearing their voices when it's
Yeah.
like it's really cool
Agreed.
when you hear like Harold Ramis's voice like
Yeah.
attached to an animation. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, that kind of works.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
But basically, just to kind of sum this up before we talk about it, but it's basically about this girl. Her city's destroyed. She goes to avenge them. She rides this like giant bird
Yeah,
thing.
bird pterodactyl or
Yeah.
whatever.
And
There
she
we go.
she fights this guy, kills him, and then it kind of ends with her getting ready to destroy the orb. And then she's successful or she's not. I can't remember.
I feel like she's successful.
Yeah, but it
Because-
doesn't make any sense.
It's weird. This is the whole time and space I was talking about because like it's almost like the orb like planned out its own death in a way
Okay.
because the girl at the end or the bookends is supposed to be this Tarna girl because at the end her hair goes white.
yeah.
She rides that pterodactyl and
So she's the new.
she's got
yeah.
no, she's supposed to just be her.
See, and I was thinking
Yeah.
that. I was thinking that she's not her anymore because I just watched this twice this year.
yeah.
But I don't know if it's supposed to be because I always thought it was her.
I
Like,
thought it was Tarna.
yeah, that she is Tarna. But then again, she kind of looks slightly different at the end of the movie. Like
She's
facial
younger.
structure wise.
Oh, maybe.
That like maybe she's a new
I think she's a new
Dothraki.
because why would he tell her a story about his demise? I don't know. I think it's somebody different personally. But
She's
I
an
could be wrong.
unreliable narrator.
Yes,
That's
yes.
why this movie doesn't make any sense because it's like he's telling her a story about how she destroyed him, and then
And
at
then
the end,
that's what I mean.
and at the end,
So-
it destroys him. Like he's like, it's like he brought up this like old demons. He's like, oh, actually, that story really upsets me.
oh wait a minute, I
Yeah.
died.
Oh, wait, you're right, I died.
And then you fly me into. Oh wait, don't do that.
You don't need to hear this part.
Yeah.
It's like Spaceballs.
Yeah. Never show that part again.
Yeah, I think this story is fine, but I just think it's the length that hurts it for me. It
yeah,
doesn't.
it's a little
the
long.
pacing ruins it because I feel like the pacing of every other one is like, here's a story in and out, boom, boom, and this one's like, hey, let's set up a full length 30-minute cartoon,
Yeah,
and it's
this
like,
is your. I feel like this is your traditional like anthologies where they save the best quote unquote
Yeah.
for last, and they make it the longest one out of the bunch.
It's
Yeah.
the most epic too. They do a lot of stuff in here that they're not doing in other.
I would say the animation is probably
episodes.
the most impressive in this segment alone.
The flying stuff, which is rotoscoping again.
Yeah.
Anytime that camera's flying with her,
Yeah.
and they're like you see like the floor underneath, it's like rotoscoping.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I did like the segment. I just think it's too long. I got kind of impatient towards because
yeah,
I've
but-
also
but-
expected it to keep ending and go to the next story.
Yeah,
And that's what was confusing to me.
and I think it kind of comes down to the fact that that first John Candy one, Den,
Yeah.
that kind of like did what this one already did. So it's like it just feels like a repeat,
Mhm.
Kind of, yeah.
you know, because it's like this is the same thing basically.
Going to, yeah.
And, yeah, and I felt like it'd be more unique if Den wasn't in this movie. That episode wasn't in this movie, and it was just this one because it'd
I
be like,
agree.
okay, now we're in
'Cause
sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
everything's like pretty much different every segment. It's just that this guy kind of goes back to the whole
Retreads.
prehistoric, you
Yeah.
know, whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. So then after this story, the girl who's part of the bookend story, she ends up turning into, what'd you call him? The race of the species.
Dothraki, right?
Yeah.
Dothraki. No, it's
No, that's not Dothraki. What's Dothraki?
Dothraki is Great Game of Thrones. The
Yes, it is. I said it earlier. too,
I just said right the first time. What is it?
Targaryen. No, that's
Tarakians.
Tarakians.
Oh my god.
That's Dothrakians and Targaryens are both Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And it's say it again.
Tarakians.
Tarakians. It's like a combination of both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what this girl turns into. And she's now going to be like the savior of this planet.
Yeah. Why does this guy, this orb explode? He's like, oh!
Yeah.
Dude.
Just like,
Yeah.
does he die because of the segment before? Or is it because of he just.
He remember. That's what I mean. It's like he dies like because he remembers. Like, oh, I forgot you kicked my ass.
Oh, wait, I'm dead.
No!
So yeah, and then like the story pretty much ends right there. Heavy Metal 1981.
Closing credits, Working in a Coal Mine by Devo.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Devo's in it.
Are they really?
Well, they're in the
they're
last
at
segment. They're
at
at
that
the bar.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So before we discuss this, let's just go ahead and I'm sure we're going to talk about it a little bit. But let's just give our numbers real quick. So it has a 61 on Rotten Tomatoes. I'll probably give it a 70. Hanto, what do you got?
I'd say 61's fine.
61's fine.
Yeah.
Matt?
I think like maybe it would grow over time, but like it's kind of a muddle, like it's kind of a mess of a story.
Sure.
Not the best animation, but you know, for the time it's kind of impressive for
Yeah.
what it does.
Yeah.
But
Knowing it's a 70. This is weird. It's one of those-
61. It's a 61.
Huh?
It's a 61.
Oh, I thought you said 70.
I gave it a 70.
Yeah. Like, I feel like in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, this is like a 70 movie, like a 70% for most people. I'm going to give this movie 80%. I really,
Yeah.
really enjoy this movie.
it might grow for me over time, but like I don't know when I'll watch it next.
It's so unique and like stimulating, and it's like interesting as hell to watch. And it's you know, that 80s animation is really slow sometimes and it's kind of sleepy.
yeah.
That's a good way of putting it, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I don't know, man. I really dig this movie. I think this movie it's just like a musical. It's like a 90-minute music video. I think if you like the music,
the music.
you'll
I think,
like the movie.
I think the music is what you have to really be into.
yeah, if you
too.
don't like the music, then it's like it is. It's like the same things. It's the same foundations that musicals kind of like lay on.
Yeah,
Like if you don't like the music, you're not gonna like the movie.
exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say 80%.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I probably will rewatch this at some point because I did like aspects of it, and I feel like it's a cool time capsule. Yeah, I think it's fine. It was better than I thought it was going to be, and I thought my expectations were kind of small, especially when I started the movie and I saw.
Considering what you said before we like met up to
What did
record,
I
I
say?
thought just like it was like I think you're I can't remember. You said something you started and you're like, oh boy. Like
Oh,
something
I
like
just didn't
that.
know what to expect. I didn't know
Yeah.
what this was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a full-on one-story fantasy based on the cover. It was like this girl who like this big fantasy story, and it was just going to be kind of like, I'm not huge into fantasy as it is anyway.
Yeah, me
So
neither.
I thought it was going to be a struggle, but it wasn't. I enjoyed it. I think the runtime is awesome. I think anything that's an hour and a half to like get in, get
Every
out.
movie should be an hour and a half.
I totally agree.
I would love to see. Now there was a sequel. There's Heavy Metal 2000, made in 2000.
Yeah, I looked it up. It's got like a 10% on Rotten
But
I
Tomatoes.
it's like it's one
remember-
story. I believe.
Okay.
It's one story, and it's like, man, I would love for them to make a third one and do this anthology thing again.
So apparently, like,
Make it a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
I have to look into it, but that Netflix show, though, Love and Robots,
Yeah.
apparently it's supposed to be like this, basically.
Yeah, because David Fincher's a huge fan of it.
Oh, okay. That's what you're mentioning.
Yeah.
earlier. Okay.
Did David Fincher do that Love and Robots show? Does he produce it?
He produces
Yeah, I
it.
think
Oh,
he
does
produced
he?
it.
Okay. Okay. I've heard enough about it. I've heard it's worth checking out.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool to have this, like, I think it'd be really cool if they made a new one like this, because one thing I do like about the movie is you never know what to expect with the next story coming up.
Yeah.
Like how you're supposed to feel. Like, okay, when you watch like Creep Show, right? You watch like we talk about horror anthologies on here all the time. You're watching every story and you know every story is going to be horror.
Yeah.
So your mind's already kind of in that place where like, okay, it's either going to be scary horror or funny horror, but it's going to be horror. And I like this movie because it's like you watch it and you don't know what the next segment's going to give you. So when you get to like the bomber one,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is a full-on zombie movie. This is cool.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it goes to straight comedy, and then we're fantasy sci-fi. You know, at the
And I think
end.
what works for this at least is like you have the orb interacting in some way, shape, or form.
yeah,
In every segment. Whereas like when you watch VHS, there's really no kind of connection other than it's on a VHS.
yes. And
Yeah,
sometimes
whatever.
they're really not on VHS.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not. It's like
They
clearly
don't even bother.
clearly digital effects. And
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
It looks
And-
looks too clean.
It's like I would love to see this now, to watch something like this. It's like a little bit tighter, and to have those 5 to 7 stories where I don't know what the next story is going to be and how I'm going to feel about it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and I enjoyed it. So my favorite was the cab driver. Hanto, what did you say yours was? The last one?
I would say it's a toss up between the cab driver or the Tarna.
The darn
I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Matt, what would you say?
Mine's the bomber and Tarna.
Oh, we're done.
I like the
Okay.
bomber. It's just too short.
It's
I
just
can't
too short,
really-
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you guys kind of already said this, but we'll ask the question again. Would you watch this again?
Yeah.
I probably would. Yes.
Yeah, I think I'll watch it at some point. It'd be a
Yeah,
nice.
I think I need to have some something to help me watch through it
Okay.
a
Okay.
second time.
I
Okay.
think this is a cool. I would recommend this to anybody. It's a cool hangout movie.
I would say yeah, it's probably
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
that.
hanging out, if it gets like guys' night, yeah, if you're
Yeah.
hanging out with a bunch of guys, like this would be the movie to watch.
or
Wait,
gals night.
I don't know. Yeah, it could be gals'
I think
night.
gals,
Yeah.
gals would definitely be interested in this too.
Sure,
I think
it's kind of highly sexist at times.
Maybe
I
Yeah.
can see this. I feel like there's this new category of movies for me, and it's called "Put It on the Background While I Play on My Phone."
Yeah,
And I feel like I can put this on again.
Oh, I did
and
that. That's
play on
weird.
my
I
phone.
did that last night
Did
because
you?
I was looking up. I was like, I'm gonna look up trivia on it because I was gonna watch the commentary, and I decided not to because the comment. It's weird. On the Blu-ray, that what I told you about the animatronic. I think that's what it's called. We talked about that sequence that was cut out,
Oh, yeah.
and they have a name for it where it's like storyboarded,
Okay.
but it's not fully animated,
Yeah.
right?
animatics.
Animatics. So they had the entire movie in animatics. So 90 minutes of it.
Okay.
The whole movie is just like the animatics, the original.
Oh,
from the
cool.
movie.
That's
so it's
neat.
just kind of like basically watching a movie with storyboards.
Storyboards. Yeah.
it
And
seems
the
like
commentary's on that and not the movie.
That's kind of a
so I was
vibe.
like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch this for 90 minutes. But like I watched it last night because I just watched it. Too.
Yeah.
So I watched it flipping through my phone, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay,
It's a good
I'll look up
yeah.
the trivia on this while I'm watching it.
It's a good phone flipper.
nice.
So,
The
The phone flipper.
movie.
so
That
So
sounds
I get-
so
that's where I
dis-
get my flip phone. My flip phone out.
You know, like how disgraceful it was if you made a movie and somebody's like, "Oh man, you got a great phone flipping movie."
oh man, the movie was great. I was on my phone the entire time. So that's Heavy Metal 1981. That was Matt's pick. Matt, I liked it. Thank you for picking it.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't want you guys to like it. I just
No,
wanted
I
to
enjoyed it
talk
more than I
about
thought I would, so I'm not upset. So next week will be my pick, and my pick is Scream 4, Wes Craven's last directorial feature.
Okay, we saw this coming.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
saw this coming a mile away.
Yes. So my whole thing is, and I'm going to state it now, so when we actually watch it, we can talk about it. I thought this was very okay when I first saw it. Rewatched it about a year ago, and I was like, "Oh man, this is highly underrated. Like this is so much better than I remembered. This might be the second best of the series." And then I've tried to get the Mats to watch it, and they're like, "I remember being bad." I'm like, "Yeah, so do I. It's aged really well."
Yeah, I've only seen it once.
I've seen it once. I hated it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hated it.
So that's why I mean it's one of my favorite film series. It's easily my top 5, and I really want to do it now playing on Scream 5. And the only way to do that is if we talk about 4, obviously.
Completing the cycle of the Scream movies.
Yes, and then I'll never ask for another movie again. So yeah, so we're gonna do Scream 4, and we're gonna discuss that. And like as a kind of a spoiler, we're gonna do Now Playing for 5 within the month here as well. And then we'll follow up with Honto's pick, which Honto is still teetering on. So
No,
we'll let
I got
that.
it.
Oh, did you get it?
I got it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll let that be a surprise for the next episode.
Yes.
As always,
I
thank
can't
you
wait.
so much for listening. We love doing this. We hope you love listening to it. If you have any comments or requests, you can hit us up on Facebook or
CinemaCultPodcast@gmail.com or leave a voicemail at anchor.fm.
And so thank you so much for listening. I'm Chris,
I'm Matt.
And I'm Honto.
and we'll see you next time.